the lighting looks somewhat decent on this, because if it doesn't, then c'est la vie, I guess. Hey y'all, I'm Madeline Monahan, but you can call me Maddie. Welcome back to my channel, and today we are continuing the series of my favorite things, or these are a few of my favorite things as the song actually goes, but again, it's a lot of words. So today I'm gonna talk about my top 5 favorite movies. These are the movies that I love to go back and rewatch all the time. Anytime they're on, I will be on the couch or on the chair or sitting right smack dab in front of the TV to watch them. I love these films. They are, like I said, my favorites, and it took me a while again to figure out really which ones stood out the most to me. These are the ones that I think fit the bill, and I am really excited to share with you guys. So starting at number 5, I have Duck Soup, which is a 1933 film by the Marx Brothers. Now, for those of you who have never heard of the Marx Brothers before, let me give you a quick rundown. In the 1930s and 40s, there was a group of brothers known as the Marx Brothers that consisted of Chico, Harpo, Groucho, and Zeppo, and they were vaudeville stars that made the transition to movies, and they made so many comedic movies. Like, their movies are some of the funniest that I've ever seen. If you are a movie person, and even if you're not a movie person, it is likely you've at least heard of Duck Soup. It is considered to be one of the most comedic movies of all times. It's usually in like the top 10 to 15 of every greatest movie of all times list. It's in every movie you need to see before you die book. It is a very funny movie, and it's because the Marx Brothers are very funny, and they have a whole range of comedy in their films. So they have slapstick, they have play on words, they have just straight up nonsense. They do a good job of mixing everything in their films. But Duck Soup is just such a classic. Duck Soup is just one of those movies where you always remember the lines from it. They just stick with you because they're so funny and at the same time so outlandish, and that's why I just think they're so clever. I highly, highly recommend, if you've never seen a Marx Brothers movie, at least watch Duck Soup. And I'm not gonna even tell you guys what it's about. I'm just gonna let you guys look it up and find it and watch it because it is hysterical, and I highly, highly recommend it. It's so funny. And you will fall in love with the Marx Brothers because they were just a bunch of funny guys. My number 4 is a little bit of a genre departure from Duck Soup, whereas Duck Soup was a very funny movie from 1933. My next movie is considered to be a very scary one from 1960. It is Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. I love this movie! I am really into psychological thrillers, and this movie is really kind of the start of that. I feel like people often say that Psycho is the first slasher film. I honestly believe it to be the first psychological thriller, or one of the first psychological thrillers. It was such a crazy movie. Like, when it came out in the 1960s, like, people were, I mean, legitimately freaked out by it, and you know, even to this day people are still freaked out by it. But there was just so much uproar about this movie when it first came out, but it really paved the way for all kinds of psychological thriller and horror movies that came after it. And it is so clever. Alfred Hitchcock just does such a good job, and he really picked the perfect people for this film too, because if you watch it, I don't know if you guys have seen Psycho, but if you watch it again and again and again, you notice something new every time. There's always these little things that Hitchcock drops in that you don't notice the first time around, or even the second or third time around. Fourth time around, you catch it and you're like, oh, whoa, you know, and it sort of adds like this whole new layer to the film. And Hitchcock was just so good with the pacing and keeping it scary, but at the same time you wanted to watch what happened. It wasn't like those movies where it was scary and you felt like you needed to hide behind something. You are glued to the screen and you want to watch it no matter how scary it gets. And I don't like horror movies, but Psycho is just, it's so well paced, so well written, so well acted, and there's so many just little hints in it that, you know, that you catch each time, and it's so hard not to love the film. It really is. It's a fantastic movie. Again, if you haven't seen Psycho, I really do recommend Psycho. Even if you are not a horror movie person, I promise you it is not that bad in terms of the scariness. I mean, it is scary, but it's, but it's like a good kind of scary. I don't know, like it didn't freak me out as much as I thought it was gonna freak me out. I was much more thrilled by it as opposed to terrified of it. So my number 3, we're going in a whole different direction here. We're going over to DreamWorks Studios, and my number 3 is How to Train Your Dragon. So it's a weird movie to put on a top 5 favorite list. I kind of see that, especially given the things that it's surrounded by. But How to Train Your Dragon was just such a fun movie, and it is beautifully animated. The music score, oh my gosh. I don't remember who the heck did the music in that movie, but sir, you deserve every single award that there is in this world, because that music gets me every time. It is so beautiful. Plus, the characters in the movie are just kind of refreshing. I mean, it is your basic story of boy finds pet and boy learn to get along. Dad finds pet's like, oh hey, I kind of don't like you. Dad's like, oh I really don't like you, has to get rid of pet. But it's almost like it's done in a way that you just can't help but still love them, you know? And it's a unique too, because it's a dragon. The pet is a dragon, you know, and the boy is a Viking. And it's just this interesting twist on that story. There's a lot of development and growth for each character, including the dragon. Like, even Toothless has its own little story arc. And it reinforced my love of dragons. If I was the mother of dragons, Toothless would be my baby. He would be my only baby. I would just want Toothless. How to Train Your Dragon is just such a sweet little film, and it is beautiful to watch. It's beautiful to listen to. It's both a joy and a thrill, and you know, it tugs at your emotions even if you don't want it to. So I definitely think that it deserves a spot in my top 5, because it is just a movie that I love to go back and watch, and it makes me happy. So going back to the realm of movies that are maybe not entirely made for children, my number 2 is not going to be a surprise to those of you who know me. It is Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl. Really, what can I say about this movie that I have not said in the past? I don't know if I've talked about it on my YouTube channel in my videos, but I've definitely talked to my friends about it. We love Pirates of the Caribbean, and I love Pirates of the Caribbean. When I was growing up, all I had was Errol Flynn and Olivia de Havilland, which I'm not complaining, because I love Errol Flynn and Olivia de Havilland. So when Disney came out with the first Pirates of the Caribbean, I was really interested, and thankfully, so was the rest of my family. So my parents decided that this was the movie that they were going to take their young children to go see in theaters. It was awesome. We loved it. Everybody in my family loved it. We went back almost every weekend that movie was in theaters, and we watched it over and over and over again. And then we bought the soundtrack, and then we went on a road trip to Sedona, and the only movie we had in the car was Pirates of the Caribbean: Curse of the Black Pearl. So now me and my older sister can recite word for word every single scene in that movie. And the reason why I like Pirates of the Caribbean so much is because when I was a kid, again, all I had was Errol Flynn as Captain Blood, and Captain Blood was kind of this almost like an upstanding gentleman of a pirate. He became a pirate out of necessity, but didn't actually want to be a pirate. Like, he just wanted Olivia de Havilland. Enter Jack Sparrow, who totally blew my mind on what pirates actually were, because he comes in and he is just, he is so despicable, but we love him because he's so funny and he's so honest to what a pirate was. That movie is quotable as all heck. There was so much humor to it, but there was also an equal amount of heart, and then you also had them tie in kind of these aspects of pirate lore, so it mixed like the reality with the fantasy of being a pirate. It just did such a good job at meshing those two things together. I mean, it really was the perfect pirate movie, and I love it. Me, I'm dishonest, and a dishonest man you can always trust to be dishonest. Honestly, it's the honest ones you want to watch out for. And finally, sitting at my number 1 is always going to be my favorite movie of all time, no matter how many other movies I see. This movie will always be my number 1. It is The Dark Knight by Christopher Nolan. I really love this movie. I grew up watching Batman. I watched like the animated series and I watched Justice League, but I was also introduced to the 1989 Tim Burton movie with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson when I was younger. And so that was kind of my real life introduction, if you will, to Batman and the Joker. So for the longest time, my Batman was Michael Keaton and my Joker was Jack Nicholson. Well, in 2008, this movie started having previews shown, and I recognized a laugh in the preview, and I was like, oh ho ho, hello, what have we here? And then I found out that Heath Ledger was playing the Joker, and I was like, Heath Ledger is playing the Joker? That cute guy from 10 Things I Hate About You? No, he's too sweet. He couldn't possibly be the Joker. 2008, in the summer, Dark Knight comes out. Me and my friends and my sister, my older sister, go to the movie theater. Theater is packed, completely packed. There are no more seats left. 2 of my friends found seats in the front row, but only 2 seats. There were 6 of us, and they only found the 2 seats, and they were like, nope, we're going, and so they both sat down, and the rest of us were lying on the floor. I have never in my life enjoyed a movie viewing as much as I did that night. It was late, it was midnight. We were lying on the gross sticky floor of the movie theater, looking up and like craning our necks to see the screen. And I have never enjoyed myself as a theater as much as I did that night. Going to see The Dark Knight was a whole new experience. I think that's what really then too set off my love for Christopher Nolan, because I do consider him to be my favorite director. It blew my mind. It was incredible. Just Christian Bale's portrayal as Batman, and then you had Harvey Dent, and then you had the Joker. Oh my gosh, the Joker. Heath Ledger stole that movie and ran away with it. He was phenomenal. I have never seen a better live action Joker than Heath Ledger. And the way that Chris Nolan told his story, you know, it kept you surprised. Like, there were so many twists and turns, and you know, and it was interesting too, because it was like they didn't necessarily feel like they had to reference that Batman Begins happened. It's almost like The Dark Knight could have stood on its own. It was just the right amount of creepy and funny and lighthearted and dark and hopeful. It was just such a good mix of everything in this movie. Everyone in it gave it their all. Like, they really gave it their all for a comic book movie. I love Chris Nolan. I love his use of practical effects, of special effects. I love how he films his movies. I love the actors he gets for them. It is just something that leaves you wanting more, but also satisfied. Like, you're satisfied if the story ends there, but then you also have that little voice at the back of your head going, okay, what's next? What's gonna happen now? But you're still content with what you've seen. It's not like you feel like you've been blown off by it. And that to me is a sign of a very well done film. So those are my top 5 favorite movies. Obviously, there are many more movies that I enjoy. It was really hard to narrow it down to just 5 because there are so many movies out there that I've seen that I've enjoyed. So I wanted to find a list of ones that I really like to go back to and watch, and just ones that kind of bring a smile to my face every time I think about them, because I love movies. I love watching movies. I love analyzing movies. I love breaking movies down. I love seeing how they're made. I am just a movie person, and I will happily sit for hours watching a movie, and so hopefully you guys will take the time to watch Duck Soup, Psycho, How to Train Your Dragon, Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, or The Dark Knight. Or if you have a movie that you really like, go ahead and recommend it down below. I'm always open to a new film. I'm always open to something fun, to something entertaining, And honestly, because that's what movies are supposed to be. Entertaining. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you would like to see more of my favorite things, and hit that like button if you so choose. Of course, there is no pressure. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye! Oh, you know you're a fangirl when you have the Inception shooting script. And I have the full Batman trilogy script over there somewhere, with my favorite lines highlighted. That should tell you something about me.